All right, guys. Coach Adam here. Command HQ Reno during the quarantine. So let's all talk about something realistically that we all should be doing while we're at home, alone, not being able to do anything, right? You can work out to your heart's content, but one thing you can do to improve your jiu-jitsu is, especially if you're an adult, is most adults, their squat is not the best, right? And if you have a poor squat, you're always going to have a limited guard, right? So if this is your squat, you're giving up all of this space that you could close up in your guard at any point in time, right? My guard being here is much harder to pass than my guard when it's open, right? People should be trying to get your legs open so they can pass, not you just not having the mobility to bring your shoulder or your knee to your shoulder, yeah? So let's talk about things you can do for it, right? So if one of the big things you can do is the Ito Portal strategy of 30-30. We're all in quarantine for 30 days. 30 minutes a day, you should be hanging out in the bottom of squat position. That means here, just hanging out, right? You can kind of move, right? Your feet will go numb in a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds, depending on how much you do this. I can hang out here for a decent amount of time. You can work on your laptop. You can read a book. You can watch TV. You can hang out here. You can give your hips a rest, right? You can kind of open them up. You can stretch them out. And then you come back and you hang out in your squat. If this is just not possible for you to hang out here, right, you're gonna have to start, right? So if I squat and it's like here, right, well then this is where you're at. You're hanging out, right? Hanging out, hanging out, hanging out. And I promise, the more time you spend here, the lower you're gonna get. And over time, you'll be all the way down. The other benefit to this is it really works the old shin muscles, right? So if you want to have nice, strong hooks from your guard, hanging out in the squat is going to help that as well, right? If a lot of people, their ankle is the limiting factor to being able to sit in the squat, right? Less so than the hip, a lot of times it's the ankle. So if it's the ankle, if your knee can't track over your toes, right? You can spend some time in this low lunge position and just drive and hang, where you can see my ankle, trying to open up that angle or close that angle here, right? Just closing that, really stretching out, trying to keep my heel on the mat, right? If I'm pulling my heel off the mat like this, it's not gonna help me close this angle here. Stretching that out, and then I can switch and do it on the other side. Boom, here. Should be able to sit flat here and roll back and stretch my ankles the other way. If you're stretching one way, stretch the other way. Here, and then on your toes. Hang out here. How often do you hang out here? All the time, right? You just get on your toes and sit. If it's uncomfortable, do it more, yeah? The other thing you can do for your squat, especially if you're having a hard time in the beginning, if you're down here, is you can shim your heel, right? So you can put a book or a couple magazines, you know, nothing big, you know, like an inch or so underneath your heel, and then slowly take away that over time, right? So once your heel's shimmed, if you can shim your heel and you can drop all the way down all of a sudden, that means your ankle mobility is the limiting factor, right? If not, then there's probably a hip mobility limiting factor. The other thing you can do is wall-facing squats. This is really brutal exercise where I put my toes and my face against the wall. Here, I'm not very far away from it. A little wider in my squat, and I'm just gonna sit all the way down without falling over and try to touch that floor. Initially, you're not gonna be able to touch the floor. Just go as deep as you can without falling over. Deep as you can, and come back up. Go deep as you can, all the way down, touch the floor, and come back up. And then you can work your feet in closer and closer and closer, right? So, A, hang out, be here. B, stretch those ankles. C, do the wall squats. Also, finish the other ankle stretches. Be on your laces here, and then also be on your toes here, right? You can check out the rest of the mobility series that I'll be putting out for the hips. Will also help with the squat. But this is something that you can do every day. You could spend 30 minutes every day hanging out here, right? How often do you hang out here? It should be a lot, right? Anytime you're doing stuff, just hanging out, reading, watching TV, and you can sit down for a little while, and you can shift, and you can kind of move, and you can fidget, because movement is life. It's good for you, yeah? Get squatting.